Hi, my name is Kerrilee Blake and I am from Thumbprint Realty. And today I have a message about thinking outside of the box. This is a message that I've been thinking about for a long time, sharing with you guys, but wondering if I should. This is not about talking about me and the things I have achieved, but really to help you understand that you can think outside of the box to achieve your goals. You're probably saying to yourself, and this doesn't apply to everyone, but maybe you feel stagnant. You have goals and dreams and you just can't get there. You can't figure out what you need to do. You can't catch a break. You can't find the finances to do the things that you want to do to be comfortable. I always believe poverty is a crime. And we have the resources to do better, we just don't know how. So again, my message today is thinking outside of the box. So who am I? I'm Kerrilee Blake. I'm a realtor with Thumbprint Realty. Before real estate, I worked for a bank for 11 years, doing everything I thought I had to do to achieve financial freedom. I worked hard, I played the politics, I advanced myself in education, I got my bachelor's, my master's. I did all those things, trying to figure out a way how to make it. And I reached a point where it just seemed like I was just getting by. Get a job, I would be able to maybe afford a nicer apartment or a nicer car, but I made just enough to maintain, but never enough to feel comfortable. Yet worked every day, 40 hours a week, overtime, trying to prove that I was valuable, but never ever quite feeling valued. So I made the decision to invest in me. I left the bank and not knowing what I was going to do, but just having faith that I would figure it out. There was a point where I had absolutely nothing. No income, not even unemployment, down to my last penny. So when you have nothing, you can go, only place you can go is up. So I decided to take a completely different path. Again, not quite knowing where this path would lead me. So I found myself working with an investor that opened my eyes to wealth through real estate and seeing young people who looked like me doing well and buying homes and living a different quality of life and having that freedom, the flexibility to manage your time. And this was all done through real estate. How did they do it? And, I spent a few years just learning and seeing how people were navigating real estate. The investor said to me, Kerry, have you thought about owning a home? And it was something that I thought about but wasn't sure how to actually do it. It seemed hard. It seemed like it was only meant for those who were making an extraordinary amount of money, and I just didn't find myself in a place where buying a home seemed feasible. But then I really started to think about it. What do I need to do to buy a home? What are the steps? And I took the time to write down all of the steps. I got myself a vision board. What do I need? I need to have income. I need to have stable income. I need to have taxes. I need to have 2 years taxes. I need to have pay stubs. I need to have decent credit. What did that mean for me? Well, I have a lot of student loans. So what do I need to do to make sure that my credit is in the best position? So I did the work. I thought about what I wanted and worked backwards. Okay, Kerry, take the steps to repair your credit. Okay, now you need to have some down payment money. I heard about these programs, but just in case I can't leverage these programs, let me start actively saving. Well, how do you save when you don't have the money to save? Well, I had to really look at my lifestyle. What could I do to cut back? That means living with roommates, being uncomfortable for a while, sacrificing. That meant not driving a car, not having that car payment. That meant not going out to lunch and meeting up with friends and spending money and shopping. Really, really just managing my money and trimming the fat to make sure that I saved first, paid my bills, and whatever was left, that was going to be my quality of life until I got where I needed to go. And even though my salary was probably a fourth of what I made when I was working at the bank, I was still able to save. because I made some sacrifices. So my partner and I decided that we were going to focus. And in 6 months' time, we saw a huge change where we were able to actually save money. We had down payment money. We were almost there. We only had a few more months to go. And then the question is, well, where are we going to live? The city is so expensive. And the chances of us affording anything decent was slim. So what did that mean? Well, we had to think outside of the box. We want a home. We want a family. At the moment, affording something in the city just wasn't feasible. How far are we willing to go? So we decided to look outside of the city up to an hour. If we could get something that was more affordable, that had the things that we want, the creature comforts, and we would be comfortable, we're willing to take the drive. We'd be willing to commute. And so knowing that I wanted to have children in a decent school system, I wasn't necessarily looking for the most expensive areas, but I wanted to find communities that had decent public schools. The rest was up to me to teach my kids anyway, but as long as the environment was good and conducive for their learning, I just pinpointed areas that I'm open to that had good public school systems or decent public school systems. And so when I started my search, it was like, okay, here are the communities that I'm open to, although I wasn't even aware of all of the different communities. When I found my home, it was a fixer-upper. I did not bring a crew of people to give me their opinion on the home. I remember the investor saying, Kerry, get a multifamily. Not really understanding why, but it always just rang true in my head. Okay, multifamily. There's a reason, okay? And they always say the rental income will help with your mortgage. All right, so multifamily was what I needed to do. And then he mentioned to me credit line. I'm still too new in the game to really understand what that really meant. Why do I need a credit line? What is the credit line for? But again, it was always in the back of my head. Buy a multifamily credit line. So we found a multifamily, and it was a home that had so much potential, but it was a fixer-upper. It needed extensive work. It wasn't a home that I could invite friends over and feel proud. But it was a home that made me feel proud because I had the vision of what I wanted to do to this home. So we bought this home 1 hour outside of the city. It was a fixer-upper. At the time, we bought it for $399,000, which is pretty unheard of in Boston or anywhere near Boston right now, to buy a multi for $399,000. But we had a vision, and that multi came with a carriage house, which is basically like a garage, but had no purpose but storage. But it was a big carriage house. And so I looked at this home and I said, okay, right now it's a single family, but it is zoned as a 2-family, so we can convert this to a 2-family and I can get the rental income. All right, so we have this carriage house. We can't use it right now for anything but for storage, but I know in the future if I need additional living space, the carriage house is something that I can renovate. And so at the time, our unit, because again we had single family, we converted it to 2, and so the tenant side had 2 bedrooms and our side had 2 bedrooms. But that wasn't enough rooms for our grown family. We needed more bedrooms. Luckily, this home had a family room. Right? So it already had a living room, it had this family room, and we thought, okay, well, let's use this family room as a bedroom. So we converted the family room to a bedroom, simple putting up sheetrock in the door. Boom, now we have 3 rooms, okay? Our family expanded again. 3 rooms wasn't enough. So remember the carriage house that I was telling you about? Well, the carriage house, it was time for us to really think about how to use that space. So we pulled permits, but we needed the money. Where was the money going to come from to renovate this carriage house? Remember the credit line I was telling you about? Now it makes sense. So I had the home appraised, and of course, over a period of 1 year to 2 years, we had built up equity. In another video, I'll talk more about what equity means. But we were able to use a credit line against our equity to renovate the home. So we pulled out, let's just say around $65,000 to renovate this carriage house. Plus, we had some savings, and then we leveraged our 401k, which meant that we had to pay taxes on it, but it was worth it, right? And so we put in about $100,000 into renovating our home, from the carriage house to the exterior to the decks, the siding. We did as much as we could do. We updated electrical, plumbing, whatever we could do for $100,000 to raise the value of our home. 4 years later, this home that was purchased for $399,000 is now worth over $750,000. So the equity in the home from the time that we bought it until now allowed us to have access to funds. So in other words, we can borrow or pull money out of our home to do other things. So what does that mean for me? Well, it allows me to even think bigger, outside of the box. What can I do with this equity to improve the quality of my life? Okay, how can I make myself more successful? How can I grow my family's wealth? Right? So this is how you can use real estate, or just thinking outside of the box, to acquire real estate so you can use that to fund your next dream. And that's basically how I was able to get into flipping, because I took that money from my home and invested it into another project. And the idea is, whatever